Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster in the Alpine Odyssey save file that we are starting anew. So this is basically Alpine Odyssey version 2.0, and what has happened, if you haven't heard the news, is that I have sadly lost the previous save and all that we built in it. Now, this isn't all terrible news. I mean, it's pretty bad because it's never good to lose hours and hours of work like I did. It's also teaching me a valuable lesson in backing up my files. However, it's going to give us a great opportunity to go back in and add a whole new level of detail to all these previously built structures. And that way they can be a little bit fresh for you guys and be interesting to record again for a second time. And they're also going to be a little bit shorter, so we're going to try and catch up as quickly as possible. However, it is still a lot of stuff to accomplish here, and we're just going to basically hop right into it. So, the ticket booth is the first episode that we are going to reestablish. Off camera, I relayed out all the road work a little bit different than before. I think it's a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more effective than before as well. And also, it's about 20% larger than before, I think. It's a much more comprehensive parking lot space than we previously had. And in the long run, that's going to make the whole area a lot more detailed. I have some really big plans for this whole area back there, and I just want to make everything bigger and better than before for you guys and also for myself, because I think we can do it. This initial first kind of rendition of the ticket booth is actually at the complete wrong scale. You guys have been asking for vehicles a lot over the past episodes, and we have been steadily increasing these via live streams every week. We have, I think, up to about 6 vehicle types at this point. 6? Hold on, 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vehicle types. I was thinking of the color variations in there as well. That brings it up to probably 9 or so. Anyways, what we got here is the ticket booth that is about 1.5 times bigger than before, and I'm using these vehicles that we made previously as a good sense of scale. And we will help lay out the roads, the lane sizes. In fact, these are going to be a lot more accurate than our previous ticket booth, because our previous one couldn't really fit these vehicles through there too easily. It was a really tight fit. It didn't look too great. These ones, though, will be spaced out enough to where it looks fairly accurate. However, we'll have to recreate a lot of these details over time, and that is just something I'm going to try and keep a lot of it to off-camera work, just so that you guys don't get bored with the same repetitive structures. But, that's just how it is. So we're getting the traffic cone again, and also the water barrel for traffic management. We're going to upgrade the center median from that simple kind of cloth divider to something a little bit more stable with rods and additional colors to them. In fact, everything's going to have a little bit more color layer to it. We're going to have this nice light eggshell-ish blue color for the ticket booth, which I think is a little bit better than the previous color. It's going to have some oranges, it's going to have some blacks and some neutral colors, and overall it just looks a lot like a governmental building, and I'm pretty happy with how the thing is turning out. If you guys leave spaces in your wall texturing, you can get larger kind of stonework lines, masonry lines in there. That is a trick that I suggest doing for you people who want some more stone variation than just the basic wall type provide, without having to go too much into individually laying out each piece of stone, because you don't want to do that for part count reasons. Part count is still one of the biggest factors to kind of consider when you are working on Planet Coaster itself. Other than that, this thing is going to need a door. We are also going to be showing you a prime example of over detailing. There is such a thing as over detailing, or detailing to the point of not liking it anymore. And I think that's what I ran into here. I wanted to recreate an upgraded version of our chain link fence. However, problems arose really initially with just deciding on the base composition. So I upgraded to maybe a metal grate fence, and mix up some colors, add some wooden paneling at the bottom. This can look great. However, it's not what I want for this little section. That's what you can run into sometimes when you are building in Planet Coaster or any building game. You make something really cool looking, it just doesn't have the right look for the area. It's something to take note of, maybe for later, and you could always reuse the same design for another section. Don't ever just throw something completely away. Just take note of it for later, but here we will be reworking a lot of this just to make the whole thing feel a little bit more cohesive and feel a little bit more, I guess, simple and clean can go a real long way. You want things to be able to read from a distance. You want things to be able to have a good silhouette and a good clean line work and color palette to them, so that no matter how close you are, they read, and no matter how far away you are, they read as well. So at this point, we skipped ahead a little bit. The building is about 25% smaller than it was before, which is good. The cars fit in there nice and snug. You know, not too snug. They're not going to hit their side mirrors or anything like that. We're just going to re-add the signs. From the no entry side, we're going to have I was thinking about adding a motorcycle sign here. However, the text was just going to be too big and couldn't really make it look too good. However, just due to the size of the lane, I think it kind of is a self-explanatory system. And we'll have some lights, and this whole area at nighttime will just start looking really good as we go in and light it up from above, below, have some interesting shadows, even just right above these signs. Sadly, they don't glow quite as well at night as I wish they did. We'll also add some red lights and some green lights just to really highlight that cars can go on the right side but not the left side. We have guardrails at this point, which is another detail that we built kind of on Livestream. Livestream is a good way if you guys want to come by and, you know, talk to me about vehicle designs you want to see for our parking lot. That's a great thing that I use that for. In fact, last weekend we built our first bus and also a small pickup truck. So if you guys want to have a specific vehicle or specific vehicle type, like a hatchback, which something we already have, but I'm just saying that's a type of vehicle, or a sports car or a bus, school bus, let me know in the comments down below, or come by during the live stream, because we kind of take votes on those kind of buildings. This is a street kind of interstate sign here. These are bottom lit because you don't want to blind your people driving on the roads below you, and that is a good safety feature to have. Overall, it's a pretty cool thing to see in Planet Coaster. I didn't think I would be able to nail the looks of these as well as I did, but with the correct parts layouts and just using some simple art shapes, they look pretty accurate. And initially I started with this double wide one. However, I think it looks too wide. We'll add some bottom railing here, make that look a little bit more fancy. I wanted to maybe mess with some signs to add the textures and colors. However, I figured we might as well just use basic shapes, because basic shapes have gotten us this far. Why change now? Here you can see we cut down the size, and we'll end up splitting this in half later, so we can just have quarter kind of panels as well. So after we add the white border to our pretty standard American interstate sign, that'll be it for today's speed build. There's plenty of off-camera stuff going on behind the scenes that you guys won't get to see initially on this first episode, but I hope you guys are excited to continue work on Alpine Odyssey as I am, and we'll take a look at it in real time at this stage in the game. Okay, so welcome back to the ticket booth in Alpine Odyssey, our initial jumping point into the rest of the parking lot area. There's a lot more detail than in the first pass. However, this is just the beginning. You guys can always give me your feedback, always give me suggestions, and I'll think about incorporating it here as soon as possible. Even one of the most recent suggestions was adding security cameras to this thing. And these things are really fun. I messed around with it a little bit during the live stream last weekend, and they just provide a more interesting viewpoint to your park and something a little bit more what you would expect to see in real life. You know, it has a camera filter over it. There's a zoom function. It makes a little camera sound, and it's just a fun little gadget to mess with. We get our traffic cones placed. Our spacing on our actual road layout is much more clean and things like that. However, I know I'm going to get comments saying I should sink these into the ground more. I will disagree with you simply because I don't want any risk of Z-fighting. I want things to be able to read from a distance. Most people will play from this distance anyways. That shadow's not even really going to load it in, and even if it does, it just makes them pop out a little bit. It makes it look a little bit more readable. So from back all the way back here, you can't tell they're raised up any more than, say, the base texture of the road itself. Other than that, we got the cool new medium across here using some white and orange colors, something a little bit more standardized. We have some cool signs, some cool lights. Our vehicles slowly starting to be placed. Now, granted, I'm going to add more over time and with your guys' suggestions, but this is going to be a good start for us. We got our chain link fence, very simple, clean, and I think a little bit better than what I made before during the speed build section. So keep that in mind. We got the cool air conditioning unit attached to the top there. We have some viewing windows from the office spaces, and we have a little bit of a parking pad over here attached to the right side. This was not here before, and I was thinking, you guys have suggested that I have some security vehicles, and people need to work here in these ticket booths, so it would be nice to give them a little bit of parking, or at least a little bit of a spot a bus can pull off and drop them off at work. We have some gardening to do in this area, but it's a little bit of a cool shape to the path itself. Luckily, no people are going to be walking around this area, so we don't have to worry about people clipping through the building, so we can make the path as interesting as we like. We got pretty much all the street lights ever made in this short little area. The pretty cool custom interstate sign that is very clean. I'm very happy that I was able to get the look of this as well as I did, and it's going to give you plenty of fun information. I don't quite know what information it'll have just yet, but I'm sure you guys will tell me what these things need to say. Over here we have the upgraded, not upgraded, but the quarter kind of panel, and they will provide some additional information away from the ticket booth itself. So we'll have to add some street lights. You can see the parking lot is a lot larger than before. We have a lot more open space to add more outbuildings in this area. I want to have a much larger parking garage. I want to have a very large bus depot kind of terminal back here with a two-lane pickup spot. We get, the road going back underground. We have another bus station there and another one here. The road work is pretty much the same elsewhere. A little bit of terrain sculpting going on over in this way. We want to rough in very slowly the looks of the grass along the roadways. We're going to have some dirt closer to the guardrails. It'll filter out into more shallow bushes, kind of dead grass, some dead greenery as well, and then into your sparse trees and sparse rocks, just so that not everything is all clumped together. You kind of want to use this sparsely, and there'll be some dead zone here and some dead zone here, so these trees will be kind of placed just in the middle sections so they don't interfere too much with the roadways, and we'll keep the whole thing looking rather nice but also detailed at the same time. The difference between just the right side and the left side is still rather stark, so that's something to keep in mind for you guys. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at, actually I'm getting ahead of myself. Whoa, my camera just, okay, why is it doing that? There we go. Anyways, what we have over here are the vehicles we've made so far. You guys can leave me suggestions on what you might want to see down below. We have a full hatchback. We have a little coupe, two-door coupe here. Last weekend during the live stream, we made a Tacoma Toyota pickup truck. very kind of classic little car to have. And our bus lines. So we have a red line, an orange line, and a blue line. They're a little retro looking, but also a little modern looking. So they do have a cool look to them, and they match the rest of the art style quite nice. It's a little difficult to go into just the minimum amount of detail into these because the buses are bigger. You can fit a lot more detail. However, during the live stream, you guys pointed it out, so I want a little bit more minimalistic, and that's why I keep you guys around. You keep me true. Let's go ahead, take a look at it at nighttime. You can see the headlights do turn on. You can set all of these headlights to be turned on if that's something you wanted to see. There's also brake lights on here as well, so at nighttime these things can look really cool, and I'm excited to have them on our little roadways here, just driving around, even though they'll just be stationary, but they'll be cool nonetheless. Over here we have the fully lit up ticket booth area, which has a few cars in here on their way out and on their way in. Don't know why they are coming into the park at midnight, but hey, I'm not one to judge. We got, sadly the signs still don't light up very well. I kind of wish that would be different. And then the lower lit kind of interstate sign, which I think turned out far greater than I had hoped. Anyways, I think that's going to leave us here in Planet Coaster. I hope you guys are excited as I am to continue with Alpine Odyssey. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to recover and a lot to plan out. So if you guys are excited for that, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment down below for suggestions and things like that, and rip to version 1, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Planet Coaster.